All right. So other kind of things, okay, I forget to share basically just now my kind of channels there, right? Okay, which is I create for the students itself there, right? Okay, let me check. So over here, not this one. I have a few number kind of channels there. Okay, but this is the channels that I've been working on there, okay? Just to upload anything that I've been demonstrating, some of my online classes there, okay? But of course, these kind of videos that I've been creating, okay, this kind of recording session that I've been creating, it's not like a commercial kind of videos there, okay? So I don't have that kind of what we call the privilege of time and space for me to edit properly for my channels there, okay? But you guys can see most of my videos, okay, most of my demonstrations, my classes, I just put it over in these channels over here, okay? So it's been around 2 years basically, right? Okay, I've been upload some of the things, okay, most of the things over here, okay, for my students. So you guys can take a look here there, right? Okay, I think almost 1 year there, 1 year and a half there, right? Okay. So you guys can see basically most of my demonstrations over here, all right? I've been create, okay, for the students there, okay, for you guys to see how actually you guys have been conduct my classes, some of the demonstrations, some of the skills, some of the methods there, okay? And as I actually have told you guys there before, even though most of the techniques that have been created for the students, it look like a tracing there, but it's not purely tracing there, guys. We still apply the quality of line and strokes, the drawing line, the proper drawing line, okay, which is some people have a very hard time for them to develop basically those kind of skills there. But the methods and the techniques that have been produced right here is to help the student who cannot draw well, but still can apply and also develop the skill back again properly by using digital kind of tools. Okay, by using digital kind of tools. So this is basically my channel. If you guys want to subscribe, go to subscribe them directly. But of course, this channel is not quite very commercially kind of entertaining like what you seen before on any YouTube channel, because I really doesn't have that kind of privilege to edit most of those videos there, right? Okay, so I just dump over all those kind of recording sessions, okay, from my kind of record demonstrations, okay, my practical classes, put it over here there, right? Okay, so as long as hopefully can give some informations, some ideas, some visual information, some techniques they can share with the students, how actually I create this kind of works there, right? Okay, hopefully can help the students or the new generations how to work back again later on there. Okay, those are the things. Maybe later on in the future, I'm going to do more properly there. Okay, hopefully there. Okay, always win from that. But I need more time basically to engage with those kind of. Okay, so if you guys want to subscribe them, you guys can subscribe them over here. Right, I just want to share you guys there. Okay, hopefully can help also some of you guys to see whether you guys can actually work on it or not there. Okay. Right, because I didn't actually make any kind of monetization on this kind of channels there. Maybe not for now there, right? Okay. All right. So let's get over it. All right. So for this week, it's a very simple kind of task. Okay. One of the tasks that we're going to create. Okay, first of all, when you open up Photoshop, you guys know you guys have using Photoshop there before, right? Is it? Have you guys used Photoshop there before for image manipulation subjects or whatever that you guys been working on there later on? Previously on the any kind of subjects there for computer-based subjects? Right? You guys used Photoshop there before, right? Guys? Yes or no? Okay, good. So I don't have to go through in the basic phase there, right? But you need to have those tablets there, okay? Without those tablets, it's impossible for you guys to work something. Chief Lenny is here. Just want to recall back again. No? So that means she's not here basically, okay? Or she's been here basically just now in our lecture class. She was in the lecture class. Yeah, I've seen her name there just now, though. So I can recall them back. Okay. All right. So for today, they basically, okay, for this week's, I just want you guys to use Elix tools like this one there, right? Okay. Click shift to get the shapes over here. Just use alternate or backspace there, okay? Sorry, there, okay? Select the shapes, the layers there. Okay. And duplicate those shapes there. I think around all right, 3, 6 different kind of what we call that circles there, right? Okay, like this one. And then what you can do from here directly when you do some selections, for example, like this one, all right, I want you guys to experiment with those brushes here. Okay, with those brushes there, okay? What kind of brushes shape that you guys can use there, okay? For example, there, okay, one of the general brushes that we have right here, okay, the general brushes that we have is soft round brushes, hard round brushes, okay, soft pressure round brushes there, right? All this kind of standard brush, okay? These standard brushes that you guys seen there, okay, were not quite eligible enough for us to use for drawings there. Don't use for drawings there, okay? Just use for paint, shadings, and what we call that playing with kind of sort of like shapes, shadows, and a bit more like a coloring kind of methods there, okay? So what I kind of want to recommend you guys, I want you guys to explore the right, those kind of brushes, kind of stuff there. Okay, for me, the okay, one of the most important things that we need to apply when it comes to develop those kind of brushes is how to paint them up directly. And of course, you want to paint with these kind of brushes, for example, using the layers there, right? Okay, make sure you play with some sizes there. And you need to know basically the purpose why you're actually going to use the brushes there, right? Okay, okay, use these brushes there, right? Okay, so one of the things that we can do is try to play with light and shadows there. You guys have learned that light and shadows using those drawing classes there before there, right? If you want to create some sort of like light and shadow from these particular kind of flat kind of shapes into a bit more like a sphere kind of shapes there, right? Okay, you need to change the size there. How to change the size? Right, I'm using basically these tools, all right, this kind of what we call that is key there, right? Okay, to enhance the brush size there. Okay, you see there, right? What are the name of this key there, right? Okay? Can someone remind me there? This is the closed cap, open cap, but this is the one. What is it there?
Bracket? I don't
Bracket.
know. I don't know what it's exactly.
I think of close or close bracket or open up bracket already. Open and close bracket maybe there, right? Okay? So correct me if I'm wrong there, right? Okay? It's okay. I'm okay with it. So I'm going to use this key there, right? Okay, to change the size there. It's really important to know the right kind of size for you to add those kind of shapes there. See? So you have to know also the directions of light and shadows there, okay? So this is the thing, this is a basic thing that you have to understand before you're going to paint. All right? A lot of people just simply paint like this. Okay? Simply there, okay? Without having the right kind of purpose why you have to paint. Okay? All right? So you have to remember that, right? Okay. So what you can do from there, you have to do some selections over here there first. Okay, make some selections like this one, right? How to make some selections? I'm going to go through, okay, the cursor right here. The shortcut key that I'm going to use, okay, normally if I use Photoshop or any kind of application, right? I'm actually right-handed there, right? Okay. My left hand, I'm going to hold the keyboard key there, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm go to that, what we call that, I move the cursor through those layers there, right? Okay. Okay. The layer thumbnails over here, small kind of boxes there, right? So I'm going to click Control. You can see the keyboard over here. Click Control, and I'm going to right click if I'm using mouse to that thumbnails there. Okay. So from here, they have the selections there, right? The right thumbnails over here. So what I can do right here, I can actually paint the directions of those shadows there first to create the illusion of those lighting and also the form of these shapes, circles into the sphere there, right? Okay. So what I can do, okay, the directions of light there, okay, where is it? The directions of light, okay. For example, if the direction of light came from top like this one there, right? Okay. So the light are going to be right here, right? Okay. And the shadows are going to be formed right here. But if you check look there, okay, when I actually press the what we call that, the shadows become a bit more, the shadings become a bit more strong there, right? Okay. How actually going to prevent them? Okay. So I'm going to control alternate Z, okay, to undo there, right? So what I'm going to do, you have to change the flows. I always change the flows, not the opacities, but flows there to control the pressure point of my brushes. Okay, remember that I always use change flow of what we call the percentage there, right? Okay, it works on that. You change the right. Okay? Then if I use like 29%, I can actually control more. If I want to make a more heavier kind of shadings there, right? Okay, I'm going to reduce the size there, right? And focus on some of the areas over here. All right. If the lighting came from the top there, right? Okay, the top. Okay, we're talking about the top, okay. But how to paint them to make it a bit more like a sphere rather than flat surface there? You cannot paint the directions of the shadows like this one there, okay, like a diagonal, like what we call it horizontal, like this one there, right? Okay. You have to move a curve kind of movements over here, like this curve, right? Okay, like a U kind of movements there to make it right. Okay, that's how you actually can show basically the shapes become a bit more like a sphere there, right? Okay, rather than the flat surface there, right? Now, if I want to add some highlight there, right here, there, right? Adjust the size a bit there. Adjust the size more, then create some highlights over here. See? Then if I want to close the selections, Control D. All right, to end the selections there, right? So if you check in there, right, okay, the directions of light will give the illusion of those sphere become three-dimensional in the 2D, two-dimensional kind of platform there, okay. How actually you're going to create the drop shadows there, okay, or the cast shadows right here. So what I can do is add new layers. I don't want you guys to just simply use the brushes without any purpose there, guys. Okay. So what I'm going to do right here, click Shift. I'm going to paint. Click Shift there, right? I'm going to paint basically the shadows there. See, slowly paint the shadows there, cast shadows there. Right? Okay. Of course, this part are going to be a bit more heavier. Okay. A very simple kind of task there, guys. Just to give you guys some understanding how to shade the shadows using a very flat surface there. Simple kind of exercise there. Just you guys can actually explore a lot of brushes if you want to there, okay? But I want to give you guys some general kind of way of working with the brushes there first. Okay, this one directions of light came from top there, okay? You can actually write, give some information over here. So if you want to draw or write down those words, you guys can use these hard round brushes there, okay? Change the size and start to. Okay. The light came from this side, okay, this top there, okay? So the shadows, the cast shadow there, okay, fall off from the side there, okay? So if you take a look, okay, the way that I actually write paint and up there, okay, I'm using this kind of movements there. Okay, the movements of my brushes there are going to be look like this, right? Okay, curve there, right? Okay, not straight like this there, right? Okay, not straight like this there. Move around, right? Okay, move around there. Sorry, there, right? Okay, move around the movements of these brushes there, right? Okay, flows and the movements of my brushes there, right? Okay, when I paint. Okay, that's how it goes. All right, the curve line, you have to use the shape itself to paint. All right, that's the movement you have to create there. Okay, this one there, okay. Let's just say the movements are what we call the directions of light came from this side. The light there, okay, came from this side there, okay. I want you guys to explore this one there first, because they're going to give a lot of impact later on when you start to paint your subject matters there. Okay, I'm going to use soft round brushes again, soft round pressure brushes there. All right, that's the size. Now the flow is 29 there, okay. So if the light came from this side there, okay, the shadow is going to be fall off right here. Obviously right here. See how actually I paint? I paint slowly there, right? Okay guys, take a look, okay. This is basically some reflections light. I leave the reflections light over here. All right, reflections light over here. Why? Because every single shadow shades that we actually paint, it always has a light over here. Reflections light there, right? Okay? So remember that it's not a basically pure dark there. Okay? That's why some of your paint styles, if you take a look, there is no dimensions there. Okay? Why? Because of these kind of elements. Because this is kind of elements that you don't actually create with your shadings there. Okay? Your paint styles there, right? So the highlights are going to be right here, for example, but too hard there. Okay? Control basically the highlights a little bit there. Right? There. Control a little bit there. Right? Okay? Try to control the pressures at the same time when you start to paint. See? Yeah. So we're going to create some illusions of the shape itself there. Okay? Illusions of it. This is the basic kind of exercise, but really, really important for you to understand that first before you're going to paint in detail. Right? Because if you can control the pressures over here when you use those tablets directly, it's easy for you to develop your understanding later on. Okay, so if the shadows and the highlight came from this side, where basically the shadow going to be fall off, right or left there, right? Right or left there, right? Which one there, right? Which part there? Can someone answer me there, right?
Left.
Left, right? So how are you going to paint over here? But there's a few kind of shadows right here, there, right? So what I can do, I can click shift. While I click shift, I want to get a straight kind of line there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not, I don't know there, right? But okay, this is a part of it. Okay, of course, this part are not going to be a little bit more darker because the light came over here. Okay, there. Not too dark like this one, okay? Don't paint like this one, okay? Just soft kind of shades there, okay? Control the pressures at the same time, okay? Close. Okay, so we just create this kind of illusions the guy first before we get to paint more kind of details later on, because all these kind of methods there, all this kind of demonstration are what got the exercise that we created, right? Are going to be important for you guys later on, okay? Develop your kind of paints kind of skills there, painting kind of techniques. That's what I say, okay? You don't have to use the fancy brushes all the time, okay, to work on that. Okay. So enough on these soft brushes, I think. All right. So the next move, let's just say, Allah, sir, does I have any kind of more advanced brushes there? Okay. Let me try there, okay? So let's just say there, okay? I love to use word try because I always love to experiment some of the brushes there. Okay, let's just say that what are the brushes of this one? Okay? This one look more like a charcoal brushes there, right? Okay. Some people just drop in like this. What is this, guys? Okay, you just simply draw. No, right? Okay, we don't want to use this kind of methods there, right? Okay. So what I can do is just to size that back again. Now it just flows a little bit. How many percentage there, right? Up to you guys. You guys have to explore that. Okay? I don't want to have, okay, we have to use 40%, 30%, kind of right there. Then you actually going to follow my methods only there. I want you guys to explore and feel basically that kind of urge of experimentations on using those brushes there, right? Okay. Okay, let's just say these brushes there, you see there, okay? There's a very rough kind of texture, okay? It's very good kind of textured brushes there, guys, okay? So what I can do from here, do some selections back again. Let's just say the light came from this side there, right, okay? So what I can do, you see, how actually I'm going to paint it up. Use the flow there, right? Adjust the colors a bit, okay? And I'm going to paint a bit more, okay? Then we can actually tap over it, okay? Tap a bit slowly there, okay? Don't tap too hard there, okay? With these brushes over here. See? To get the textures itself there, right? See? Just playing around with it, playing around with it there, guys. Okay, playing around with it. Okay, let's just say I actually increase the pressures over here, all right? And then start to paint back again. Okay, but I didn't paint like this one there, guys, okay? Slowly control the pressures at the same. It's really important for you guys to learn to control the pressures here. All right, I emphasize on that there, okay? You see my tone of voice there, okay? Why? Because a lot of people, they just simply paint. They don't think when they paint. They just simply, let's just simply paint, okay? Lazy enough, okay, to think, right? Okay, come on, guys. If you want to become creative, right, you have to think before you do some of the actions from there. You just simply do something without thinking there, right? Okay? We don't want to people outside their thought there, okay? Creative people doesn't have any intelligence kind of way of thinking. Okay? We don't want to have that kind of mentality or obligations there, right? Okay? That people actually accuse, okay, that people like us doesn't have an intelligence there. Okay? Just think a bit, okay, before you paint, even though it's not going to look quite very, what we call that, the same as what you saw using the different brushes over here, okay? But every single brushes have different kind of purpose, right? Okay? You're going to learn them from time to time, right? Okay? From here, when you find quite very satisfaction for you guys, okay, the light that came from this side, top left there, okay, maybe you're going to fall off right here a bit. Okay? Change the size to get a bit more details there. control a bit more further there. Okay, don't press too much like this one there, okay? You can paint like this one if you want to, but depending on the purpose why basically you have to paint that strong, right? Okay, kind of volume of tone there, okay, depending. Okay. All right. Now you have two different kind of brushes that you guys can see by using this. What brush is this? Pastel Palooza there, okay? Ultimate Pastel Palooza there, okay? So don't forget to write the names there. So this one basically you're using write down there, okay? The brushes right here, Carl. Ultimate Pastel Palooza there, right? So write the names there. Okay, double O there. Okay, brushes there. This one is soft round brushes there, right? These are general brushes. I'm using these soft pressure opacity brushes directly. Okay, opacity brushes directly. So either one of them basically are going to have the same kind of effects from there, but some of them are going to have a different kind of effect. Okay, so please put the names on there. Okay, soft pressure brushes there. Okay, you put the names on it there. Right? So if you take a look how actually I write down the names there. Okay, also I'm using drawing methods there. Okay, guys. So why I use grayscale there? Okay, because that's basically if you learn basic photographies, normally we're going to use also gray tone or black and white photographies to indicate some sort of those principles there first. Okay, colorings we're going to explore later there. Okay, but how to create those contrasts, those lighting effects, there are again the right kind of lighting effects, all using this kind of grayscale kind of tone there. Okay, so far any questions? No? So I want you guys to explore some of the brushes, but don't just simply explore them, but try to see, right, okay, what are the effects that can bring over to these brushes there, right? One, it's almost the same like pastel Palooza there, I think, right? But a bit kind of what we call that very smooth over here. See? Very smooth kind of effects there, right? Okay. Very smooth kind of effects there. Okay. Smooth kind of effects there, right? Because if you check looks frequently there, right? Just now basically when I actually share basically some of the work that I've done there before there, right? I'm using this kind of brushes a lot for my drawings there, for my illustrations there. I want to show you guys some of the things that I've done there before back again. Okay. All right. All right. If you take a look there, right? Some of the things that I've done there before. Okay. Take a look at those drawings there and see what type of brushes that I used there this morning already. One of it basically came from, let's just say, okay, this one, okay, this illustrations over here. Okay, if you take a look at these illustrations there, right, okay, I use a lot of textures, brushes. Of course, I use a lot of textures at the same time, right, it works on that, but the brushes that I use, some of the brushes came from these pastel, soft kind of brushes there, right? Okay, those are the things. What else there? Like this one there, right, okay, this kind of illustrations over here. Okay, I'm using a lot of texture brushes there to show some indication of depth of fields, some detailings there, right? Okay? Mixture with different kind of brushes at the same time there, guys. Okay? So that's how actually, right? Using this kind of brushes is quite very useful for me to show some of the detailings, but without having a lot of efforts there to draw a lot there, right? You understand what I mean? I'm using a lot of shapes, lightings, effects, and textures there, but I didn't actually focus a lot on those detailings, especially on the background itself. Okay, so that's why using the texture brushes is quite very useful for your illustrations in the future if you want to plan it up right. Okay? Because we don't have to do a lot of efforts to draw every single details there all the times, because we can actually skip this kind of detailings, focus on the characters, but can still show a lot of what we call that, a lot of depth, and also some complex kind of elements there, okay, on the whole compositions, on the whole composition itself, guys. So I play a lot of tricks there, combined with some of different kind of textures and brushes that works on it. So I don't have to do a lot of works there, but I'm exploring the coloring methods, the texturing methods to show some dramatic kind of what we call that cinematic kind of look and feels, some sort of like a very what we call that, some adrenaline kind of rush kind of visuals there, elements there, right? Okay, some expressive kind of what we call that moments there, okay, on those story itself there, right? Okay, so that's why using these texture brushes and understand about how to use them is really important there. Okay, so you guys can explore them from time to time. Okay, that's the thing there, guys. It works on that. So I want you guys to explore them the first. Okay, these brushes over here. If you guys can actually do it right now, go ahead, you guys. Okay. So if you have those Photoshop, okay, let's just say I'm using basically mouse there. Okay, I'm using mouse there to paint. All right, guys, still with me there, right? Okay. Okay, let's say I'm going to use mouse there to paint. Okay, I'm using mouse over here. Okay, do some selections there first. Now I'm going to use soft brushes there, right? Okay, from here. Okay, let's just say the lighting came from this side, bottoms, just the size. Try to paint. Still can paint there, right? Who say basically we cannot actually use mouse there to paint? See, adjust the size a bit. Okay, this is basically the hard shadows there. Okay, and this is a reflection light, and some of those, the shadows that form over here, exclusion shadows, right? Okay, and of course the shadow, the what we call that, the cast shadow might going to be fall off a little bit over here there, okay, just to show basically the ground itself there. Okay, don't let it floating there. So the lighting, okay, came from this side. Okay, adjust the size of a bit, and then these are might going to have the highlight over here. See, you can still get that kind of feels there, right, from there. Now maybe the shadows, the cast shadows a bit are going to be fall off right here, okay? But not too much there. The size a bit quite difficult from here using mouse there. Okay, I don't want to make this kind of visual become a bit more like floating there, okay? Okay, so still can actually use mouse, okay, but not all the time, guys. Okay, remember that. So because it's going to be hard for you if you basically write what we call that, using mouse all the times when you want to do some complex kind of illustrations there. Unless you're going to go along the way using AI, right? AI there, right? So drawing using mouse is impossible, say guys. I know few of my friends actually using mouse for quite a long time to draw and paint, but I'm saying basically, okay, it's not quite very kind of easy for beginners like, or some amateurs or general kind of people that you works there, right? Okay, so I not recommend you guys to use mouse only that you works on. Okay, so what kind of brushes that you guys can use also, right? Okay, let me explore, right? Okay, let me explore the, right? Okay, let's just say these hard round pressure brushes. What we can do then, okay, these hard round pressure brushes, if you're playing in a correct kind of way, you can actually paint like a watercolor kind of shape, paint style there. That's basically the difference there, okay? But it has a very strong kind of flows. It's hard for you to handle there. But if you know how to paint it correctly, yes, you actually can paint. Normally people actually use this kind of hard round, what we call that pressure opacity brushes to do some digital kind of paint. Right, see? Like a scrambling kind of techniques there, right? In traditional way, all right? See? See? They kind of like a quite very rough kind of paint style, but can be blended a bit more further. Okay. Look like a rough a little bit, but still look a bit more blending there. Okay. It has some blending kind of more. Yeah. This is what we done basically using this, what we call this. You guys can see a lot of digital kind of artists using this kind of hard round pressure opacity brushes that works. If you take a look at some of the videos from digital artists directly, they will actually write, most people actually write, they've been recommending you guys get to use very general kind of brushes there, right? Works. Control the brushes there. 1% only there, okay, for the flows there that I'm using this now, right now. Okay. Okay. This is hard round pressure brushes there, right? Hard round pressure opacity. Right, hard round pressure opacity there, right? Brushes there. This one I'm using mouse, all right, to paint. Right, I'm using mouse there. See, it's mouse there, right? Okay. To paint the shapes there. To paint the shapes there, right? Okay. So what else that we can do from here, right? Okay. Let's just say that, right? Okay, these brushes over here. Okay, some people actually want to draw and paint like these etching kind of methods and techniques there. Go ahead there, guys. Okay. Etchings kind of methods there. Okay, mix them up there, right? Go ahead. You guys can do those the same thing there, right? Okay. But if you use mouse lah, okay. If you use tablet, right? If you use mouse, okay, I don't recommend you guys to use this kind of methods there. Okay, this kind of methods there, right? To work like etching kind of methods there. Okay, mix them up there, right? If you want to. Okay. You guys can actually apply there, okay? It works on that. Mix them up there, right? It works on that. Then goes to this part over here. Okay, use some sort of like sometimes shadows, we actually can use this kind of methods that works. Some of my animations sometimes are okay. If I don't want to use a very soft shadows, I'm going to use this kind of etching kind of methods there, okay? For my shadows here. Can be mix them around with shadings and also the line works at the same time there, guys. Okay, that's basically what we can do. Okay, week 1, exercise number 1 there. Any questions? With this exercise over here? No? So I'm going to save the files over here first. All right. You guys want to take a break for a while?
Yes, please.
Yeah? All right. Okay, we take 5 minutes to writing. Break for a while there, writing. You guys can actually refresh yourself. Okay, drink some waters maybe there, okay? And then we're going to get back again, okay? All right. See you guys then in 5 then. Yes?
So do we submit this exercise in the classroom?
Yes, Dorothy. We're going to submit in our Google Classroom, Dorothy. So I'm
Yes,
going,
it's in
yeah,
the stream.
I'm going to create basically, okay, week 1 until week 4 kind of exercise there, right? Okay. So we're going to use these folders, okay, to work on that, all right? Okay. So the deadline for each exercise is every week, okay, on Sunday. I'm going to put some detailing later on from there, okay? So it's quite very simple, kind of what we call that executions, but need a lot of efforts and commitments, okay, at the first phase, okay, because we want to train ourselves directly to develop that kind of understanding by using the tools. But those who actually have skills, I don't have to worry about from there, okay? But I always focus on someone who actually have a lot of difficulty to develop that kind of digital kind of drawing skills. Okay, guys?
Okay, sir.
Sushi, yeah?
Yeah. Also, it'll
Do
be
you,
in JPEG file, right?
yeah, JPEG file or PDF files directly.
All right.
It'll be fine there, right? If you can submit this kind of works using basically those PowerPoint kind of slide presentations, it'll be more better there, right? Okay? You put your names, you put your titles over there, the right way. and put your works from there, okay? Shashi, do you have any kind of personal kind of works that you've been done there before that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I have.
Can you share with us the right thing so I can
Okay.
see what you have been working on there, right? Okay, I would love to see, okay, most of you guys kind of works there. Good, right? Okay, you have done a lot of good kind of what we call that works from here there, right? Okay. This is your personal kind of works or from the assignments that you see? Right?
It's my personal work.
Okay, good there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, now we can see basically some of you guys have that kind of experience there, okay? They've been explored this kind of. This one using Photoshop or using
It's Photoshop.
Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
How long does it take there?
Yeah.
How long does it take for you to paint there, right? Okay? For example, like this one there, right?
It's about like half a day or almost a day. I forgot.
Okay,
Yeah, I took a lot of breaks in between.
okay, but it's a
Yeah.
good to take a break a bit, right? Huh?
Yeah.
You have that kind of understanding, right? Good, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hmm. This one you draw from scratch or you have that kind of set reference there?
I usually do sketches at first and then import the sketch in the software and I'll start painting.
Okay. All right, okay. So I can see you have explored some of the brushes that good there, okay? Good explorations there.
Mm.
What do you do for your final year projects?
Is a UI app.
UI apps?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you include those illustrations kind of works from here? From your apps?
We have illustrations done in Illustrator.
Illustrators there.
Mm.
Okay. Do you actually provide your skills?
No, I don't think I'm so good yet.
Why? I think you actually use all these kind of methods to apply on your FYP. You will have a more potential for you to get a very good kind of grades there.
Mm.
Mm. This is what I believe there, right? Because in graphic design, I don't know about these days, okay, there's a few major kind of, we call that uh, discipline that you actually can choose there, okay? You can actually choose from illustrations, the app applications, they're right. Some brand design, maybe comics, they're right, okay? Or digital comics, they're right, okay? Or character animations, anything that related basically on illustration that you actually can embrace, so I can enhance more on your skills. I would say it will be more better because for me, the guys, okay, if you have that kind of potential of your illustration skill, you can use as a part of your advantage for you to execute for your FYP. That's basically what I would do there, right, okay, for myself. Don't basically put away that kind of interest and skill that you have just because someone say, oh, you have to do this and this and this, because you need to have that right kind of directions for yourself. First, don't follow other people's there. What do you want basically? What are the current trends that you actually can show your skills from there? That's basically one of the most important because to become an illustrator and to have that kind of privilege to draw, even though there's a lot of people can draw nowadays, but if you can show your kind of drawing skills. For me, right, working with the apps or for your generation, for your young generation, right, to learn about develop the art is not that kind of difficult there. People like me, vintage people like me, are going to be quite difficult there to engage there. But to get the right kind of illustration skills for your generations is quite very privileged there. It's very rare there, right? And we want to see a lot from there. And people we're going to amaze with your presentations because of your illustration skills. No matter what kind of skills of illustration that you want to produce there, right? But if you can produce, okay, for example, there, okay, just want to share a bit there, right? Because you guys, even though you have some exposures, let's just say a modern or maybe, okay, all right, enhanced illustrations there. Let me see there, okay, whether there is a few kind of potentials there, right, of illustrations works from here. If you guys take a look there, guys, there's a lot of number huge kind of illustration style that you guys can actually produce. Even with these kind of styles, unique styles of illustrations there, all right? With the right kind of approach, brand or items or whatever that you want to produce there, okay, they can become a unique way to produce your kind of work. We thought not talk about every single details only, but a very graphical, iconic kind of illustration styles there, guys. Look like a 70s, 80s, vintage kind of style there. Even though this one, right, like iconic kind of style there. Using AI, using Adobe Illustrators, or any kind of application platform, okay, cartoon kind of style, okay, like an emoji kind of work, okay. It will be interesting on your presentations there, guys. If you add this kind of what we call that unique kind of way, okay, to work on your illustrations kind of books there, right? Okay. So there's a lot of styles of illustration you guys can choose in order for you to execute for your FYP. Even though you're using apps, but if you include some illustration elements, your apps are going to become different. They become unique, they become a bit more appealing from other kind of people's there, right? Okay. So if you look at these illustrations there, right? How actually they execute it, they combine with different kind of texture brushes there. All right. So that's a good thing about it. So remember that, guys, right? Okay. Having in my class, I want you guys to explore. Okay, you can actually write save there, right? You have to use other kind of device that work, and how they design the characters at the same time, that works on that. Using Photoshop, that works on that. Okay. So they're quite very interesting. Even though this kind of style illustrations there, I'm not actually limit myself to approach only one single style illustration there. I love to see that you guys also can exploring a multiple kind of styles of illustrations there. Okay. This kind of illustration a little bit more like a not quite very proportionate there, okay, but it's look interesting there. So digital illustration can be as free as you want there, right? You guys can explore a lot of things there instead of 3D already, because 3D they use a different kind of applications that you use. But you guys, if you guys can explore, go ahead, but I don't think that you can explore in a short time there, right? You take a look there, right? Even though this kind of portrait kind of styles over here, which is you guys can use digital that to work, okay, that we can actually explore them later on, okay, in our exercise there, right? It's very kind of very, for me, it's very intriguing there, okay, to work on that, okay. And exciting there at the same time that you work. So please, they're welcome there, okay. Thank you very much, Shuki there, okay, for sharing this one. Okay. So hopefully the rest of you guys, all right, I can actually see from time to time what you guys have been working on, how actually you've been working on at the same time there. Okay, it's all about the sharing sessions, and I want to see also you guys will shine out there, right? No presentations, not just simply just to develop those kind of assignments just for the sake to get the marks, right? You have to shine yourself from there. All right, you have to shine yourself from there. That's the thing. All right. So now, okay, now after you actually complete basically this exercise there, right? I want you guys to paint this. You know, I want you guys to choose any subject matter, simple subject matters that you guys can see, you guys saw, and try to paint it, right? Okay. So what I can do from here, there's a lot of way there, guys, to paint. There's a lot of way to engage this kind of subject matters in digital kind of format, right? Okay. One of the way, of course, some people, I want to sketch at first, right? Okay. They're going to use their ability to sketch, right? Okay. Okay. To sketch like this one, for example, there. Okay. You see how actually I sketched it, right? About the line of actions. Okay. To draw basically those shapes there. Some people will try to use this kind of methods there too. Obviously, a lot of people there, right? Okay. Why? Because they will show basically the skill itself there. For me, there, right? Okay. If you want to draw something like this, for example, there, right? Make sure that you don't draw like this one there, right? This is not the right way to paint or draw there, guys. See? This is what we call a dirty line. Don't draw like this one there, right? Okay? When I draw those leaves there, right, I will draw like this one there, right? Okay? When I create those kind of strokes there. Just like when you use pencils there, right? Okay? Okay. See? Draw the shapes properly when you paint. Okay? Those are the things. All right? This is basically a rough sketch. Okay? A rough sketch there. Selections, delete there. So please don't draw like this one there, guys, if you want to improve your drawing skills. But the other way around that you guys can do to paint, all right, duplicate scale, all right. What you can do, reduce the opacities, okay. What you can do from here, draw on top of it lah. Okay, I want you guys to see how actually I draw on top of it there, right? See how actually I draw them. I not draw like this one there, right? Huh? Please don't draw like this. Don't draw the outline there, guys, there, right? Okay, like this one there. This is not the purpose why we want to learn to draw using those tablets there, right? See? Please don't draw like this. If you seem to draw like this for the rest of your exercise, 10% will become around 2% only there, right? Maybe 1.5% there, right? Only I will give there. Why? Because this is not the way that we want to approach our drawings there, guys. Okay? Some people draw like this, like simply draw like this one. So I cannot get lah, right? Simply draw like this one lah, right? Okay? Please don't draw like this there, guys. Okay? I have remind you guys not to draw like this. Don't draw like this. Okay? Remember that one, okay? If you see, because we have using digital there, guys, why we have to hustle not to use them there, okay? The right proper kind of methods there. Because some of you guys who have a right kind of difficulty to draw, okay, I want to show you guys over here. Zoom in, try to draw with this kind of line there, guys. See? We still applying basically what we have right here. You see? what I'm trying to do right now?
The pressure?
Yeah?
Pressure of the
Control
stroke?
pressure there, right?
Yeah.
I need to control the pressures when I draw, and the quality of line that I produce, basically, right? They bring over those kind of the dimensions of your drawing strokes there, right? See? And is there any hesitations? No there, right? See? We are not actually just, some people say, we're just tracing. No. The one that you showed just now is tracing there. But this one, we just actually apply our drawing skills in by drawing on top of the layers there, just to help basically for us to see more better and understanding there, right? Okay? How to work with our drawing strokes there, right? Because these techniques that I use is help the students who actually cannot actually draw well, because I know basically among the students, they always have some of the student who still doesn't have that kind of ability to understand about to develop their drawing skills there. So I want you guys to explore a bit there, okay? Even though when they draw the shape itself, okay, can I see, right? If you check look back again, right? Okay? I try to control the pressures to draw some etchings, kind of form and strokes there, right? Generally, I'm actually applying my drawing skills from here. Okay? So, applying some of the textures. So one of the reasons why we use these tablets, because we can actually apply and improve back again our drawing skills. And of course, you guys have learned about the shadings and shadows there, right? So if the light came from this side, of course, the shadow only will fall off right here, right? Just indicate those kind of shadows there by using those strong strokes there, right? Before you're going to paint. See? The difference between the quality of line that you produce right here, all right, and control the pressures at the same times, and the one that you produce obviously right here. And you see the different kind of quality of line there. That's basically what we want to practice as a part of our exercise over here. Not just to show that whether you guys can draw without using some reference of the layering or not there, right? Okay? That's not the purpose there. We want to see how far you guys can actually exploring your kind of line works. Okay? After that, okay, you guys can exploring those coloring methods there, right? Okay, what you can do. And let's just say I'm do some selections areas. Can I do these selections areas using these quick selection tools? It doesn't work well because the line works is not hard enough there. If I'm using this, maybe I can use this magic wand, but I'm going to select also this part there, right? Okay, for example, like this part there. Okay. So what I can do next from here, okay, I do some selections over here, there, right? So what I can do, I can inverse the selections to the inside, okay? Okay. So the next thing that I can do from here, so this part basically has the negative space there, right? So I'm using alternate. Oh, sorry there. Lasso tools, just to select this part only there. Okay, some of the area that I missed. Use shift to select them back. All right. So what I can do from here, this is my drawing strokes there, right? Drawing layers. I add new layers, just create some shapes there. shadows. See? Yeah. Simple kind of shadows there. What we call the shapes there, right? Huh? Okay. Shapes. Remember about the element of design? Line that create shapes. They have the textures to create those form, volume, tone of those structures of this pear there, right? Okay? Of these fruits there, right? Okay. The element of design there. Anyone remember that? So from here, okay, the next thing that you have to do, okay, just find a very simple subject matter there, guys, okay? Now we can do, start to paint. How to paint there, right? Using basically soft round brushes, add the shadows areas there where you see. You want to paint using colors? You guys can actually use on that if you want to. I'm going to paint using the grayscale kind of tone here, please. Yeah. All right. See? Shadows right here a bit. Some of the areas that we have the negative space also there, right here. I forgot. Do some selections. There, right? You guys see there, right there? How actually I paint it, right?
Yeah.
The size a bit. This part a little bit there. Okay, the shadows over here. Right, shadows over here a bit. The size, zoom in a little bit there, right? This part we can delete later on. Just playing around there, guys, okay? Don't take too serious there, okay? On those, what we call the exercise, but focus there. Okay. Maybe some highlight a little bit over here. See? Yeah. Some highlights a bit over here. Okay. As I say there, okay? Every darkness there, okay, there is always a light there. Right? If we check look there, okay, you have complete basically exercise. This part is here we can delete. Okay. This part I missed that out the right now. It's okay. So what's next that we can do from here there, okay? We can do selections, add the layers. Okay. I want to try different kind of way there, okay? I'm using multiply there, okay? I can use eyedroppers. Where is the eyedroppers? Okay, green colors there, right? Brush. Okay. Now can I paint? Can I paint it, right? Okay. Paint a little bit there, right? Let's paint it right here. But this technique basically is an old technique, guys. An old techniques, which is a Marvel kind of comics there, right here, or DC comics there, right here, have been used a lot at a time to paint those what we call the ink and paint of those illustrations there. So if I use basically brown colors over here, all right, to paint these petals, highlight a bit. So the main objective is not to paint as, if you want to paint as what we call that as realistic as you want, go ahead guys, huh? But my objective is just to paint and learn how to use those brushes only that works. That's basically the main objective of our lessons. Okay? So that's the thing there, guys. Okay. I don't want to take too serious, okay, on the paint kind of styles there first. Just playing around with it. In a very short time, okay, let's just say, okay, just now, your friend told, okay, he paint basically quite half a day, maybe there, okay. I just want you guys to playing around, but has that kind of objective at the same time to paint a very short time there, okay. That's what we call exercise, I think. Because sometimes, okay, I saw when students put a lot of effort in exercise, they kind of doesn't have that kind of energy later on to do those assignments. That's also quite very important also for you guys to understand, okay, the purpose, right? What are the purpose that you're going to go through right now, right? Not just to focus on one areas only, but you have to execute it different kind of way at the same time, right? So right now, if I use these pastel brushes just now, right? Can I paint? Or the text is too dark over here. Can actually use these chalk brushes. Okay. Chalk brushes, they're like pencil brushes. And actually adjust the size. Adjust the size. I can get this kind of texture there. My objective is not to get as close, but just to indicate some of the areas there, okay, of those textures that only there, right? Not just to applying, okay, exactly what we want there, right? Okay, but we can basically just indicate some of the areas there, okay? So just now I'm using multiply there, right? So I can actually change the layers there. Just to playing around with different kind of methods of paint kind of stuff there, right? Can you see it from here now? Some highlights a little bit. Yeah, all right. Just playing around with it already. If I can use this pastel, okay, reduce the opacity a little bit. Around with these brushes there to see the different kind of effects that you guys can get from here, right? Then you can see the difference there, guys, okay, of the tools that you guys have been explored and used, okay, to work on that. That's the things, that's one of the main objectives that we're going to use today. All the brushes that we use. So some of the things that I always love to experiment directly at the same time from here, all right? If you look close the drawings right here, line over here, right? So what I can do, I can mix around basically with those kind of line works at the same time directly. They're just using pencil hot brushes. Okay, just playing around with this kind of line over work over here. Right, some line works over here using those kind of, okay, this kind of brushes there. All right. Oops. For me, they're writing, if I can actually paint in realistics, they are not going to have a difference between me and other people. So I love to exploring basically different kind of look and feels there, okay, on those illustrations at the same time there, okay. But as long as the indications of those shadows are going to be in the right positions. Okay, the other things that I have always loved to explore, guys, okay, is mixture with different kind of colors there. Okay, mixture with different kind of colors there, right? Okay, to give a different kind of look and feel, but still the natural kind of looks still remain. Okay, what are the things that we actually can explore from here about the shadows itself? Normally we use the monotonous kind of shadow there, right? But how about, okay, we're using purples there, right, for the shadows. Some of the areas we indicate some purple kind of what we call the shades there, to mix them up. Okay? Instead of using only basically natural colors there, right? So I'm going to use purple for my shadows there. See? Yeah. To give more different indications there, right? Okay? On our presentations. We can use also green colors a little bit over here, mix them up, but mixture with some green, okay, and purples there. So what else that we can do from here? All right, the background itself there, right? Oops. Okay. You just paint basically the backgrounds itself, right? Don't just leave your presentations floating there, right? All the time there, right? Make sure you mix them up, okay? But the color combination that you actually try to apply still can actually have that kind of volume, the same kind of tone of volumes there, right? Okay? There, for the whole presentations. There. Okay? So combination between line works, the color combination and brushes, and also the paint styles, soft brushes, lasso tools, okay? To give the earlier kind of understanding on what you're going to produce on your digital illustrations there. Okay? That's basically our main kind of purpose of our first exercise. This one basically some indication of the wrong way of working. I'm going to put aside there. Right, any questions? Any kind of questions, hey guys? Any kind of inquiries? Is it hot there? Big one, exercise number 2 there. So if you change the background colors, okay, you can get different kind of look and feels there. Sir, can I ask this exercise submit what day? All right, the submissions of this exercise are going to submit on Sunday. Is it okay? But of course, the final submissions are going to be on week 4 for the whole exercise there. Each week we have different exercise there, right? Okay, different exercise there, just to test basically your skills. But I don't recommend you guys to delaying your weekly exercise. Why? Because when you delay those exercise, you need to delay a lot of your works. Why don't you? Okay, if you just don't have those tablets, anyone who doesn't have any tablet yet? Anyone? For some don't have the tablet yet, okay, yeah, it will be fine. You guys can actually write just exploring first using those mouse, like I said there, right? Okay, for the first exercise there just now. And the second exercise, you can do it as well there, okay, using those mouse there if you want to. Just test it, right? Don't wait there, okay? Then you can get the feel at the same time. When you get those tablets later on, then you guys can actually work on it. But when it comes to our face-to-face kind of session in week 5, when it comes to demonstration in our classroom, in our lab, okay, I'm still using those tablets that works there, okay? But if you want to bring your laptop in your classroom, in our lab later on there, okay, if you want to use our lab kind of facilities to plug over your tablets inside basically your, what we call that, your laptops, you need to install the drivers, okay? Otherwise, it doesn't work there. It won't work there, okay, for your tablet or for your webcam, for your basically laptop there, okay? You have to install the drivers. You have to find the drivers online, install them, and see how it works. Okay, those are the things. Any questions so far for this exercise? Some of the areas that I can use there, right? Okay? For example, over here, I can actually use the background itself. Just to indicate some sort of like glowing effects. Focus on the subject matters over here. So this is kind of what we call that methods I'm using a lot when I paint, okay, of those portraits there. Just to show basically some sort of focal point there, okay? Just to finishing up there, just like a photographic kind of techniques there. A glowing effect, but it's too much basically. But you guys can still use it. Okay. So save your files to the JPEG or PDF format directly. But JPEG also will be fine. Then I can include right here. Any kind of inquiries there, guys, before we dismiss there, right, for today? All right, the size of these illustrations are going to be in A4 size only there, right, okay? I think they have been included right here, there, right? A4 size, 150 to 100 to 300 dpi. I'm using 150 dpi only there, guys. Why? because this is only exercise, and normally I don't want to make the size too big and you don't have that kind of time to exploring the brushes there, because the more high resolutions, if you use the maximum resolutions, they're going to be delaying when you're going to move your brushes there. That's why I'm using only 150 dpi for every single of my illustrations kind of work there, guys. Okay, 150 dpi only there. I'm not using higher than that normally. Okay, normally I'm not going to be higher than that. Okay, all right, quite simple there, right, to work on it. How about the rest of you guys? People, you have any inquiries there? Anyone else? You can round the tables over here. All right. Anyone who don't have those tablets, please put it right. Who actually don't have the tablets there? How many of you guys don't have the tablets for these groups? People doesn't have. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, right? 7. Do you plan to get those tablets there? But if you plan doesn't want to become a graphic designer, it's okay, all right? Okay? When you graduate, you don't want to become a graphic designer, it's okay. But if you plan to become a designer there, or you want to work with the related kind of fields, I would suggest for you to buy those tablets for your basically your kind of investments there, okay? I would suggest there, okay? Strong suggestions, okay? You can buy Huion, you can buy XP Pen there, okay? It's quite cheap there, okay? Rather than you using those Wacom tablets there. Yes, why can't okay, why? How many there of you guys there? 9, more than 10 there.
So our first exercise will be the 6 circle, try the stroke. Then the second exercise is this one.
Yep. This one you find any subject matters there, okay? But if you cannot draw using those mouse there, okay, you guys can use the same methods that you seems to paint these subject matters. Find a very proper subject matters one that works on that, okay?
Okay.
Other than these subject matters there, okay, let's just say you want to draw some sort of like a rock there, right? Okay, you have to find some pictures like. Let's just say I want to paint some rocks there, guys. Okay, take a look here. Who say this is okay? I'm using mouse there right now. I'm not using basically call that tablets there. See? So how are you going to paint over here? All right. So what I can do normally, so I'm going to paint. Do you have any other class after this, guys?
No.
No, that's why I said, okay. So I'm going to paint a bit right here, see? The shadow came from, the highlight came from the side. I'm going to paint right here then. Okay? You can paint using those mouse, but it's quite very difficult still a bit, but you have to know basically the directions that first. Okay, the part of those shadows that you're going to apply from here. See? What you guys can do from here, because the rocks are going to be very hard surface there, right? Right, hard surface there, right? So what you can do from here, okay, let's just say I'm going to use this charcoals there, right? Okay? Oops, not quite. Appropriate over here. Adjust the flows a bit. You have to experiment a bit, guys, okay? Whether it will work for you or not, right? Okay? Using this kind of brushes there. You see, right here, I'm trying to create some textures right here. Okay, textures right here. Okay, now what I can do, quite some time actually I've been using this kind of what we call that mouse, okay, to paint. Okay, so this one is quite hot. Just the flows, paint it right. It's too hot there, right? Okay, okay, just more on the flows. Okay, okay. The textures is, I want to get the textures there right first. Okay. So from here, okay, if I'm using lasso there, right? Okay, let's say this is basically some shadings there, right? On the shades, right? Selections these areas only, and maybe some of the areas like here. But this is some illusion of my own imaginations to draw the shapes of those rocks, guys. Okay, need a lot of specific kind of skill also there to work on that. Copy and paste, multiply, see, reduce the opacities. So a bit kind of textures of the rocks over here. Okay, okay, I can apply from here, but it doesn't quite very kind of we call the detailings there, okay, because of the limitation that we have there, right? So if I merge the layers over here, so what I can do from here there, right, okay, adding layers, I want to create those kind of what we call that some leaves. See, it can be, but need a lot of different kind of set of skills there to work on it. Now I'm going to paint itself, these leaves. Okay. Using basically the brushes. Okay. Leaves there, right? Okay. Leaves a bit, and the rocks there. Right. So a bit kind of tricky is okay to work on that. If I duplicate this one, adjust a little bit, right? Okay. I can get the different kind of rocks there, right? Huh? Right. Adjust the size. All right. So it's all about creativity there, guys. How are you actually going to execute them? Right? Click, put it right here. Okay. Right. It's all about creativity there. Okay. Illusion of those rocks, okay, but it's not quite detailed, but can give different kind of approach on your works there, right? At the same time. I'm not saying you can't there, right? Using a limited kind of what we call that tools, but still can execute there, okay, in a proper way if you want to. So from here, okay, what else there? You want to paint shadows. Oops. Maybe, yeah, right? Change the size. Oops, too much there. Can be. Okay. You say we can't, right? Okay. But there's a few number kind of limitations, lah. But still, right? It can provide basically different kind of way to approach, but you still can achieve the objective of your exercise, lah. But of course, this is came from my imaginations to how to draw the illusion of those rocks and everything. I duplicate those kind of shapes at the same time, right? But still look like a rock, and the shadows and the lighting also look quite very logic there, okay, promising there, but even though it's not quite details, you can draw some of the shadows over here, right? Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay, we say we can't there, right? We still can actually work on that, but there are different kind of results that happens from here. Okay. Yeah. So, have any questions? So it's all about creativity there, okay? So remember that, guys. It's not all about, sometimes the tools that we have were limitations there, right? What if you thought, okay, a long brush, what do you mean there, right?
Like
Okay,
some artists, they have a long brush when they are creating a line art on the painting. But if something like dry media, I don't think it's so helping if they draw traditionally.
in traditional way there, right?
Yeah.
For me, right, okay, when I come to work with those digitals there, right, okay, I kind of what mixture with the pencil, with the pencil brushes there, okay, and also um, pencil brushes and also the ink and paint brushes at the same time that you mix them up there, right? Okay? The mixture basically my presentations there. For example, when you draw the hairline there, right? When you draw the hairline there, right? Okay, for example, with the hairlines, some people will draw the hairlines. Okay, this is a line art there, right? Okay, that I produced just now. If I'm going to draw some sort of like, okay, I'm start using this. Normally, I'm going to sketch using this kind of drawings there. Okay, if I want to draw some hairline, for example, over here. Okay, for example, there, right? Just the size a bit, size. I'm going to paint like this there. Okay, to get some of the details there. I hardly use the hair brushes, kind of what we call that tools there, right? Okay? That they have been provided sometimes with some of the illustrations there. So I'm going to use this kind of techniques to paint the hair. Okay, especially on the sketch kind of line there, right? Okay, and I can mix also with these ink and pen brushes to add a bit kind of details there if I want to. Okay, get some of the details. Even though if I'm using these eyebrows there, right, Casey, and I draw the eyebrows, okay, I can control the brush line there, okay. It's all about to control. It's all about on your wrist there, guys. Okay, if this is what you actually meant, Sushi.
No, I just realized it's actually increasing the smoothing.
Smoothing, like the
Yeah.
line works like this one there, right? Is it?
Like we have the flow, we have the opacity, and there is a smoothing.
This one is it? The quality of line, right?
Yeah.
The quality of line. Okay, guys, the quality of lines. Okay, when you want to create this kind of line, okay, some people actually have the different kind of brushes that works, but I kind of doesn't like to to create the what we call that the custom kind of brushes there. I'm lazy enough. I'm really lazy basically to create those custom brushes. But that's why I'm using, I think the brushes that I have here right now, basically the general brush for the wet medias is quite very useful for me to draw the line with there. Please practice your hands to draw like this one there, guys, okay? Especially if you use Photoshop, you have these ultimate ink brushes. right? Okay, it's a very good brushes for you to practice the way that you actually going to create those kind of line works there. It's good for you to practice there, right? Okay? Control the pressures at the same time, like just like you're using pencil when you draw there, right? If
Yeah.
you seem to draw using the pencil like this, please draw with a very single kind of lines, okay? Get the quality of lines over here. See the thick and the thin line, okay, to show those kind of strokes there, guys. Okay, and some etching line at the same time, right? It just playing around with some etching line there, it works on that because it will help for you to increase more on your understanding later on to develop basically your skills there. Because all these kind of techniques were not came in overnight there, guys. Okay? I practice a lot, I make a lot of mistakes there. I look into some of my friends kind of drawings there, okay, all the times there in order for me to develop my own kind of skills there, right? Okay. So, but don't draw like this, hesitate or draw like dirty kind of line like this. Sketch line for the gestures line, yes, there again. But if you check out the gestures line, I'm also basically using a very quality of line, okay, a very good quality of line here to work on that. Okay, and I would suggest every single of the students, in graphic design students, need to understand how to control the pressures correctly. No matter how great your drawing or not great on your drawings or idea is, practice the fundamentals there first. Okay, always practice the fundamentals there first. Okay, this is the basics there. Okay, control the pressures there to draw first. Okay, get the right kind of etchings kind of line, the shadows there. Even though it looked quite messy for the first time, it's okay there, guys. Okay, every single kind of way of approaching the process, they will have a kind of like a dirty kind of process, like a lot of messy kind of things there, right? So just playing around with it, have fun with it, exploring, and be patient at the same time there. Okay. And I want you guys to spend a lot of time to paint one thing one day there, okay? My kind of way of approach the works, I want you guys to have the skill that you can paint a few number kind of minutes only, okay? Or maybe a 1 or 2 hours there. Just like when I did my demonstration, when you saw my demonstration later on, I didn't spend too much time there, okay? I can actually demonstrate to you guys half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe 1 hour only there. Okay, we combining some of the talking there, okay, that I'm actually going to explore there, right? Okay, with your with the time itself there, right? Okay, but try to exploring the drawing skills there, especially on drawing skills. If you use those tablets, there, guys, okay. But if you don't have those tablets, you use mouse. It's quite very difficult for me to explain there, okay, how actually going to be works there. But it's a very good investment, and for me, from what I've been experienced there, okay, if you use those tablets, people who have a very lack of skills in traditional also can be applied properly, develop their skill in digital kind of methods. As long you have the knowledge, the skill can be developed there, right? It's just like playing sports there, right? You're playing basketball, you know the skill, you know the right methods, you can play basketball there. Okay? For example, like sports, right? So those are the things there. Those are basically the analogies there. So it can be practiced there, guys. Everyone basically can draw, but you have to practice the right methods that works to control the pressures at the same times. Other than the light and shadows, the directions of light, all those kind of things also will help you to engage more understanding from them. Okay, all right. So thank you very much for your time there, guys. Okay, I love to share with you guys the knowledge and methods there. Thank you very much. Also, okay, Kushi and also the rest of you guys who basically participate or to give some questions directly to share some of your things, your thoughts directly. I love to have that kind of engagement, okay? Communication with you guys there, okay? Along the way. So thank you very much. Have a good evening at the same time. Have a good holiday also tomorrow there, right? Okay, we have the holidays there, right? So we see each other next week, all right? And don't forget to update with me there, okay? on these Google Classrooms and also our group WhatsApp if you have the right thing. I don't know whether that who actually the class rep over here
Me.
for group 5.
It's me. Yeah.
They're right. All right,
Yes,
you haven't
Sushi.
actually sent it over right here. You haven't, right, Sushi?
I did open the group.
The group, okay, group 5 will be okay. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Okay. So thank you guys, okay? And good evening. Have a good evening at the same time, okay? Have a good day. Take care of yourself there, okay? And all the best. And thank you very much. Bye-bye there, okay?
I guess so.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Bye.
Thank you guys, all right?
Thank you, sir. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye,
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, bye.